Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well today. I want to start off this week by getting into a little bit of your course, Professional Ethics in Advertising. What I want to talk about specifically is going over some of the resources that you will need in order to succeed in this class. This will include talking about the syllabi as well as a couple of areas in terms of introducing ourselves, getting to know one of each other. I know a couple of y'all, but at the same time, there's a handful that I don't know, and I want to be able to get to know each other a little bit so I can better customize this class for how it will be structured here for the next 5 weeks. So I'm going to do a rundown of that. I'm going to do a rundown of how this class will work. I want you to read the syllabi. I will want you to complete the About You at least by Monday. So that'll give you plenty of time to do that, as well as pick up the book. I will go over that as well. And again, we'll just go over the structure of the class, as well as get to know each other a little bit more and go over that as well. So let's go ahead and start off with the syllabi here. For those who don't know, since I didn't introduce myself already, I'm Dr. Emery Stephen Daniel Jr., right here. I will mention a couple things before we get started in going over a couple things. My office hours are pretty open. If you see me in the office, feel free to stop by, come talk to me, anything you might like. But this is a web class, so if instead you'd rather email me, that is obviously okay. I don't answer my phone that often. But at the same time, if you let me know you're going to call me, I'll be more than happy to pick up and so forth. This is my email address, daniel.es@appstate.edu. It's not Daniels, it's Daniel ES. And I only say that just because a lot of people get that mixed up, because that is the curse I bear for having three first names. And it kind of messes things up a little bit. So please keep that in mind as you're looking through when you're looking to email me. I do have an email policy throughout here, and it's pretty simple. I am usually pretty darn good about answering emails as best I can, especially with an online course. Give me about 12 hours. In the syllabi, I have it about 24 hours, but usually I'm pretty quick about that. So I usually have my phone or my computer on me at like practically all times. But that is something to consider in terms of writing emails to me. I don't have necessarily an email policy, but I do have some recommendations that I prefer. One is to put in a salutation, so like greetings, hello, address me as Dr. Daniel. If you'd like to call me Emery or Stephen, that's fine. Usually if it's not anything disparaging, I'll answer to it. But do write a salutation. That does make it a lot more personal in that case, and it's just a good habit to get into. Then go into whatever it is your question is, and then sign off with your name as well. So again, it's not required or anything. It's just definitely preferred. And that would make things a little easier for me in terms of making sure that I have your request specifically noted and I can answer it accordingly. For this particular class, though, we're going to be talking about ethics in particular. I do relate it a little bit into advertising and PR, even though this is specific within advertising, but I think as the media landscape is changing, PR is becoming increasingly important here. So we're going to be talking about ethical decision making across, as you can read here, economic, social, political, interpersonal, and intrapersonal platforms. So a lot of this will not only deal with advertising industry problems in terms of relating messages and so forth, but also within the advertising area as industry as well. So these are going to be a plethora of things we're going to be looking at here. You'll see here, that your textbook that I will want you to pick up in the either the bookstore for the rental program, or you can pick it up on Amazon, whichever you would like. That's going to be up to you. I will try to post some things up there, especially at the beginning, to make sure that you have everything available. You will not need it this first week, although I'm telling you right now to get it as soon as possible because we'll be going over that. I will mention, as far as the course assignments, I typically don't post too much ahead of time when it comes to videos, which I will be posting about 4 a week, just to keep in line with the fact that you will be dealing with a class that is Monday through Thursday. And it is intensive, so you've got 5 weeks, so everything that we're going to do is going to be very, very quick. In terms of putting information out there, as far as reading, as far as turning in assignments. So make sure that you are staying on top of things as we go along. The other thing I'll mention is don't go ahead. However, I usually don't post too much ahead of time. I usually post on a schedule as we go along, but stay with us as you're going along in this case as far as the assignments are concerned. So we'll make sure that that is covered. You will have 2 case studies and a final paper that you will need to complete. You can read about those right here. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but this does talk a lot about, again, advertising industry, maybe messages, maybe within the workplace. These are all components that may be addressed that you will need to write about. So it is pretty writing intensive, and you can see they count for a pretty decent deal here at the bottom. 20% a piece. So much of the aspects that we're going to be looking at within this course are going to be focused around the case study and the final paper. I'm a big advocate for being able to take theory and put it into practical application, because this is where a lot of the ethical considerations come into play. And it's also where people struggle the most, particularly when you get into your job and you're not kind of blanketed in a little bit of academia, because a lot of these moral decisions come up. However, I know a lot of people aren't the best writers. I do put a lot of emphasis on forum posts as well, so they're going to be 7 total, 5 points each. In order to get the full allotted points for your forum, they do need to be comprehensive. They do need to be well thought out. I'm not going to set a word limit for that because I don't want to limit you one way or the other in terms of too long or too short. But I do want you to get your point across. I do want you to look into using citations, defend your work, whatever it may be, whatever the talk is all about. That's going to be extremely important. So another thing that I will want you to look into is also commenting on others. So this is a major facet when it comes to forum posts and getting some credit here. I do want you to look into supporting. I do want you to look into challenging different viewpoints if you are looking into replying on as you learn, which is where all the forum posts will be. However, I want you to do so in a respectful manner. So I don't see this happen often, but there are the occasional disagreements, and that's fine. Disagreements are one thing. It's when we get into full-blown arguments that can get a little out of hand, and that's not what we're looking for here. So if this is not constructive, we will have a conversation and you will not receive the full points for the forum post for that week, or the time we'll have it, because again, we'll have multiple forum posts in a week on certain weeks. So you can see the grading scale. Y'all know about that. Student engagement, I just talked about that. Academic integrity, obviously, if you cheat in any way, if you are going to be plagiarizing anything, this will be brought up in terms of our integrity code, and that will be something that we will address if that time comes up. Hopefully it will not. Hopefully we will not have any of those problems, but I do want to be aware. Basically, if you cheat, I'm going to look into catching you and making sure that you have a 0 for that particular assignment, as well as not being allowed to participate anymore in this course. So please don't cheat. I think that goes without saying, but if you need any help with this, there are the provisions here in the App State Integrity Code. Anything in terms of disabilities, let me know start of the semester, aka this week. If there's anything that I need to know, I'm happy to accommodate in any way that I can. I just need to have the documentation for it. So please send that to me ASAP. We're also looking into religious observances. or if you are an athlete, if you have any schedule conflict that I need to know about, again, first week, just let me know. And again, my goal is to be as accommodating as possible within the respects of the 5 weeks we have. So again, a lot of this is not going to take very long. So if you're having issues, let me know right away with anything. Or God forbid it be a death in the family, a sickness, anything. Just let me know ahead of time, and we can work around that again as best we can within the 5 weeks. So you will see what we'll be looking at as far as the book is concerned, as well as some of the things we'll be mentioning throughout the course here. So I've got a day-by-day schedule. And you'll see here in terms of when things are due, case analysis. Oh, that was supposed to be the 15th. I'll change that. Those are going to be a couple things to remember here. You can go through all these. Again, they're not going to be too complicated to go through, but they are important nonetheless. One thing I do emphasize within any of the classes is that I like to build a rapport with all my students to get to know each other a little bit better. And I enjoy small talk in any given situation. So I do want to present a little bit about myself as I was editing it earlier today. I was a little outdated, as you will. So this is me. Again, I prefer to go by Dr. Daniel, and this is another thing. Please tell me what you prefer to go by in terms of your particular name that you are most comfortable going by. Spelling is another thing that I'm a big stickler of, because I feel like everybody misspells my name in one way or another. So I want to make sure that you are called by appropriately as you go by. I usually like to address you by name as much as humanly possible. So, but again, if there's anything that will make you more comfortable, please let me know. This is me, so this is my goofy face that's recording at any given point in time. I might do a couple of recordings where it will be me instead of a screenshot, but we'll see. My qualifications here, you can see I actually got my bachelor's here at App State in BS in advertising. I did an MA at Virginia Tech in political communication as well as strategic communications for campaigns. And I got my PhD at North Dakota State University. Yes, we have a university up there in Fargo, and yes, it is as cold as you would imagine up there, but I loved it up there. It was a really cool place to be. I got to be on college game day, which was really neat. So there's a lot of cool things in terms of being in North Dakota State, so forth. I was an NSAC, National Student Advertising Competition co-coach. We'll talk a little bit about that, because that's actually a good opportunity here if you are a student within the traditional in-class program. We do a lot with honor students for the NSAC. Once upon a time, I was a sales representative for Rossignol. I worked at bioMérieux, which is blood diagnostic program, as a sales analyst. This is where a lot of my ethical concerns came up quite a bit. I've worked for newspapers. I've been a lecturer at Coastal Carolina. Currently, on top of my teaching, I work as a social media director and web editor for multiple sites, as well as social media sites. If you're ever interested, I'd be happy to tell what they are. I do a lot with what are called parasocial interactions and relationships in terms of research. I won't go into the nitty-gritty of it, but it's basically anytime that you feel like you have this bond with a character in a television show, movie, video game, etc., that is only one way, so they don't feel like they have that same relationship with you, but it feels very real to you. I do a lot within advertising, gaming, streaming, computer-mediated communication, basically what I'm doing right now in terms of talking to y'all as a group while I am speaking individually, but it may feel like interpersonal communication. I do a lot within audience analysis and corporate social responsibility, so that's a little bit of my PR side. I'm originally from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, although if anybody asks, I'm from Raleigh, because not many people know where Rocky Mount is, but at the same time, I did live quite a bit in Raleigh, and that's kind of the city I prefer. My better half, this is my wife, Melissa Daniel. She is actually just started as our office administrator. If you are in basically anything, and talking about your schedule and talking about advising and stuff like that. This is one of the people you'll go to. She is lovely. She is, I will say, a lot smarter than I am. But at the same time, make sure you say hello. She's wonderful. And she is always happy to help when it comes to anything that you need within the communication department. We have 2 dogs, Torbjorn and Nella. He just goes by Bjorn. And then Nella is my sister's dog. They are 2 old biddies. I think they're both 11 at this point, so these are actually some younger photos. It's good to be home. I love being in Boone, although I do travel a lot. I go to a lot of conferences and conventions. This is actually from the Penny Arcade exhibition, also known as PAX. But I do like to hike and run. You might see me on campus in the morning, so feel free to wave or say something while I'm running. I usually enjoy the encouragement if I'm going along, because I'm usually dying outside, especially in the summer. But I do like stats and good beer. That's usually what I end up doing anyway. I love sports. So I, again, being an App State alum, Virginia Tech alum, NDSU alum, I have my college teams, but I'm also big into mostly teams in the western part of states, oddly enough, because most of these, with the exception of Fargo, all these fall into this particular realm. I'm actually checking the free agent tracker right now for the NHL, so I'm a big Penguins fan, been since I was 5 years old. I love talking sports, so if you like sports, that's a good talking point at any given point in time. Love entertainment, love playing video games, do a lot of streaming within video games. I love watching movies, television, anime, that kind of thing. It's always been a big hobby of mine. So anyway, that's a little bit about me. I hope I'm going to try not to talk your ear off too much on that. And I have it up here just in case you want to look at that at your own time here. I do have a couple things that I'm interested for you to include. Again, your name, what you'd like to be called, major, if in communication, what area. So if you are in PR, EMB, comm studies, whatever it may be, just let me know. Any hobbies, something that's more unique to you. Hanging out with friends and having fun, I respect that, but something that's more unique to you, of things that you enjoy doing. So, and that might help me a little bit in terms of catering to this class, in terms of what you're interested in. And then what you want to get out of this class. I know this is a little stereotypical, but I want you to be as honest as possible so that, again, I can help with this. So we'll be talking a lot about law. We'll be talking a lot about messaging. We'll be talking a lot about representation in advertising, as well as a little bit of organizational communication. So if there's anything in particular you're interested in, like I said, feel free to ask and let me know. So I think that's all I wanted to cover for today. Make sure you fill this out by next week, Monday. And I'll be looking to record the responses here, as well as I will look to put up some information about the chapter here in the next couple days. So you will have that. Read that over the weekend, because I will be discussing it on the first day. So that's it from me for today. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to email me at danieles@appstate.edu, and I'll be happy to get back to you. So thank you, and have a great week.